right, let's do this. Welcome to the Inland Sports Show, live and amplified here on Wednesday night. We have got a lot of football coming your way on this show. In just a moment, we're going to hear from Dominick Catalano, the starting quarterback for the Centennial Huskies this upcoming season. We're also going to check in with Ryan Taylor, the head coach for Grand Terrace, coming off a league championship just last year and year number 1 on the job with the Titans. We're also going to have the ultimate football breakdown with Coach Agno from Aquinas High School. We're going to talk all things about that great legacy of football at Aquinas, some of the top players and coaches here in the IE. So we've got a lot to get to. We're going to really break it down with Coach. All right. With all that said, a lot of high school football. We're going to start with Centennial. They have a long lineage of great quarterbacks, and this year it is time for Dominick Catalano, the Dominick Catalano era to start. He saw some playing time last year in lieu of Hassan Longstreet, but now he's got the keys to the car. It's going to be his team, and we'll see if he can drive them to, well, all those things at Centennial. Of course, the league championship, but you know, how far can they drive in the playoffs? Can they get past the semifinals and reach that championship game in Division I against those tough Trinity League schools? So without further ado, Dominick Catalano of the Centennial Huskies right here on the Inland Sports Show. Inland Sports. And now join us here on the Inland Sports Show as we ramp up for the 2025 high school football season. Centennial High School has another good one at quarterback, and his last name is very familiar as well. Dominick Catalano of the Centennial Huskies join us here on the show. And Dominick, man, listen, we saw you last year, you know, playing for Centennial, got some playing time. Yeah. And but this year, you're the guy, man. So, I mean, obviously you want that pressure, you want that opportunity, right? So what's it like going into the season knowing that you're going to be the guy behind center?
It's awesome. You know, it's something I've been waiting for kind of my whole life. I grew up around the program. My brother played there. Been around the program since I was 6 years old. And now it's finally my turn. So definitely just super exciting and just trying to take full advantage of it.
All right, so you saw significant playing time last year as we saw Hassan Longstreet, you know, before he came back. What did you, I don't know, learn from Hassan, pick up from Hassan, the way he played, the way he practiced, whatever? Because he's at SC now, right? And he was a big-time recruit. Anything you picked up on the way he prepares or plays?
Definitely with how he, one big thing was arm care, because I came in through summer, and I dealt with a shoulder injury, and I was shut down for a whole month with throwing. So definitely just how he, took care of his arm, stuff like that. He really taught me stuff like that, but then also, mentally, just understanding what's happening on the field, stuff like that. He was so ahead of everything, so that definitely helped me prepare for when I did get my opportunity to step up and play in some games.
All right, and you mentioned your brother as well, Anthony Catalano, who was a star Centennial. I mean, man, when Anthony was there, they had some really good Centennial teams, obviously. What have you learned from him? I know, you know, he's obviously on the coaching staff there with Matt Logan, but what have you learned from him?
Definitely just throughout, I would say biggest part was recruiting, because he's obviously gone through a lot with his recruiting. Got his first offer 10 minutes before, the night before signing day at 10 o'clock. So definitely just understanding, be patient. You know, your time's coming. You're gonna get your opportunities, but then also just being around the program for so long and just being able to really understand every bit of the playbook, everything like that. Because he's also my quarterback coach on the side. So just being able to understand everything with the playbook, offensive line, everything like that. Not saying I could play offensive line, but if I had to, I know exactly what I'm doing, all that type of stuff. So just understanding every single part of the offense, stuff like that.
Yeah, people forget quarterbacks, they got to know where everyone's supposed to be, right? Like you said, you might not be a left tackle, but you need to know where that left tackle is supposed to be on that play, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Dominick, you literally grew up on the Centennial sidelines, man. You have deep roots with the Huskies. Yeah. Can you talk about how long you've been around the program and from ball boy to starting quarterback?
So my brother, I came around in 2012, so I was 6 years old, and then his sophomore, junior, and senior year, I was the ball boy. So ever since then, I've been around, and I've been on the sidelines my whole life, really. So just coming to everything I could, even when I wasn't playing football, because I grew up as a baseball player. So even when I wasn't playing football, still on the sidelines every single day at every practice, that type of stuff. So just been around it for so long.
Dominic, when you were younger, when you saw the older guys, right, playing varsity
Yes,
football,
sir.
and they put that Centennial uniform on and that Centennial helmet, obviously that means a lot, man. When people see that Centennial football, people know, the program and the kind of team, and
Yeah.
so like, did you kind of look up to those kids, like say 6, 7, 8 years old? You're this little kid and looking up at like, man, I want to play varsity football for the Centennial Huskies. Like, was that always kind of like, dude, that's like a dream come true, right, to play for these guys?
Yeah, like looking at it now, like it for sure is because I mean I was around people like greats like Javon McKinley, JJ Taylor, who they made it to the NFL. Just being around everyone like that, like it really is a dream come true, and it like means so much because you're representing more than just Centennial at that point. Like you're representing Corona, like you're representing your city and just everything like that. So it means a lot to be the starting quarterback for Centennial.
Everybody knows Centennial football, man. No doubt about it. All right, Dominic, we all want to know, how's the team looking this summer, man?
We're looking pretty scary. I think to be 100% honest with you, I think our D line might be the best in the country. We're up there with easily top five, but I think we're up there for probably the best in the country. And then our O line, we revamped. We lost a lot of guys last year, but we brought a couple guys in. We look solid. We got a great young DB core. I'm pretty sure everyone's a junior except Thurman Williams. Um, Linebacker core, all experienced, older guys, super smart. Running backs, we're super deep. We got 4 or 5 guys that can go. Receivers, bunch of guys, 7 guys that can go. You know what I mean? Like, and then obviously quarterback, just stayed patient, waited for my opportunity, and just trying to take advantage of that. And then we got some guys behind me, so just trying to help them out as much as we can. I think we're super deep at every position, and I think we can play with anyone in the country.
Well, our boy Ray Bass at Bass Athletics, man, I was talking to him. He's like, man, this Centennial team could be pretty good. So
Yeah.
he's excited about it too. But let me ask you about that Centennial defense, just going up against them in practice every day. How do you feel like you're getting better as a quarterback, seeing some D1 level caliber guys on the other side of the field? I mean, because they probably make you better. Iron sharpens
Yeah.
iron, right?
Yes, sir. It definitely helps a lot because it prepares us for even though we're in spring ball and we're not in full pads or sorry, like the beginning of summer ball, we're not in full pads or anything, but like our O line has developed so much from. I mean, we had guys coming from like Ontario Christian who they haven't played that level of football yet or this level of football yet. So when they go against people like J.D. McKinley or Miles Shermer, it gets them a lot better. And even like at quarterback or receiver, running back, whatever, you're going against a Division One guy every single play. So it just makes you so much better. And also like knowing how good they are on the other side of the ball, where they can disguise any look, turn a too high look into like a cover three, and it just makes you so much better because it prepares you for everything that you're going to see in season. So
Dominic, obviously you have to be, physically gifted to play quarterback, especially for Centennial. But, for Matt Logan, I mean, you've got to be smart. You've got to make the right decision, right? So how much do you do, off the field in terms of just studying and knowing your opponent and, being able to make that right decision or knowing where everyone's going to be? Like, how much homework do you have to put in so that that you're prepared?
well, that process starts in February for us. So as soon as the season ends, we get that 3 weeks off, and we're straight into the film room, watching film from games from last year. We're watching our OTAs, just seeing like our footwork, stuff like that. Like we're super detailed oriented, and that's Coach Logan. He's an incredible coach, so he prepares us super well. And then also just like in my free time, I enjoy watching film. I love football, so anytime I get better, whether it's trying to figure out these little things in practice that I can improve on, can I get a little second earlier here on a read, like stuff like that. So just super detail oriented, and that's what Coach Logan instills in you the first day you step on Centennial campus.
Yeah, and you've been around the program, so right? You're not caught off guard.
Yeah.
Like this is the expectation, right? Like this is
Yes,
what
sir.
Coach Logan needs out of his QB.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Anthony, obviously, having played for Coach Logan, I don't know how much football you guys talk off the field, like when maybe you guys go out to dinner or whatever, but is he
Yeah.
always coaching you up, or can you guys just kind of be brothers at some point?
My first 2 years at the school, we didn't talk football at all, but now it's kind of it really is like we talk about it a lot, but our relationship has grown so much through him being my coach. So we have been able to like like we could shut it off and be like, that's my brother, not my coach right now. But our relationship's definitely grown through him being my coach.
And Anthony was part of some, Centennial teams. I'd say that era, there was a couple of years right there. I mean, those, at least for me, those were some of the best Centennial teams, period.
For sure.
What would it mean to you, as a senior, to be like, dude, I'd love to get Centennial back to that spot, right? Like competing for that Division I championship, competing for a state title. Like, what would that mean to you?
Everything. You don't come to Centennial. You don't transfer into Centennial. Like, you don't come here just to go win 9 games in the regular season and bounce out in the semifinals. Our goal every year from February to the end of the season is to make it to the state championship game. And I think we work as hard as anybody, work harder than probably everybody. And I think we have the team to get over that hump. And I don't know, we just got to keep working and see where it takes us.
Man, we are all excited to see it. You got a tough non-league schedule, and of course the Division I playoffs in the Southern section. Nothing tougher in the whole nation, man. So best of luck this season, Dominick. Can't wait to see you guys on the field, and nothing but the best, man. Good luck this year.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
You got it. That's Dominick Catalano, the quarterback of your Centennial Huskies, on the Inland Sports Show. Inland Sports. All right, good stuff, Dominick, and best of luck this upcoming season with Centennial. Now, if you haven't seen it already because Instagram saw it first, we checked out little Ramona versus Redlands 7-on-7 passing league. Let's start with the Rams, because the Rams are coming off 2 incredible seasons. One, 2 years ago, but one of them, they won a CIF Southern Section Championship, Division 11, and then last year, they had a perfect regular season. They went 10-0 during regular season play. So here's Coach Ken Mashinsky talking about this year's version of Ram High. Inland Sports.
Yeah, we have some guys coming back. Obviously Troy Long is going to be a big playmaker for us. Isaac Mata. Our big concerns with 7-on-7 is our quarterback. We had a good quarterback battle going on. We had 3 quarterbacks, and Jesus is kind of stepping up a little bit more. Defensively, our linebacker core is very good, but we're very young and inexperienced in the back 4, especially at cornerback. We're looking for Cash and Marcus to step up, and they're young. They're 15-year-old sophomores now. So it's been a great 7-on-7 circuit. The kids are lifting super hard. Our offense and defensive line are working out right now. So we're excited to get the season going. We're at the dog days of summer right now before we get pads. So next week when we get helmets, it'll be a nice sight. Yeah. So my philosophy when I got the job at Ramona is always try to play as many Riverside schools as possible. And we consistently have been able to play North and Arlington and Pauley. Unfortunately, King, we had to drop from our schedule because the dates didn't work out. But 4 out of the 5 playing Riverside schools, it's huge. To be the best team in Riverside is something special, because we see these guys not only this year, but 10, 20 years down the road, you're gonna run into these guys, and it's nice to have those games that you played, those remembrances, things like that. It never gets old, and that's what we love about high school football. Yeah, the expectation, it's kind of funny. 9 years ago when we started this, the expectation was just making it to playoffs, and every year since then, the expectation has built and built and built and built. And to get that CIF and state championship in 2023, and then to go into 2024 and go perfect in the regular season, it just sets the standard for Ramona football, and the guys know it. The guys are expected to win and compete every day, and we're really looking forward to this 2025 season.
Inland Sports. All right, there is Coach Mush. And if you haven't done so already, stop what you're doing. Go follow the Inland Sports Show on the gram. That's at Inland_sports_show. Because sometimes they see some of these interviews and sound bites first, like this one from Bob Stengel as well, the head coach at Redlands High School. The long blue line looking good this summer. Coach Stengel is excited about Redlands High this year. Inland Sports.
I think we're getting better on both sides of the ball, throwing the ball on time. We're running a lot of different packages. Defense is in year 2. I think we're getting more acclimated with personnel and what we're doing with the coverages. And I think we've made tremendous strides this year. We got a great group, and Ramona was really good, obviously. Bloomington's really good, so we're happy to get them out here and see what we can do. I think it's huge. I think Tony, he started half of his sophomore year on the varsity. played 2 playoff games for us. Last year played in 11 games. This year we're expecting great things from him. He's really grown as a leader. He's a captain this year. We installed the new offense. He's picked it up quickly. I think it's better suited to, his skills and his ability. So we're excited about it. Well, this year, when I took over, we didn't have very many guys, like I said before in previous interviews. Now, this year we went into summer with 110 guys. This year we have, what should I say, an air of unselfishness. We have a lot of great kids. We have a senior class of about 32, 33 kids who are very unselfish, very team-oriented, who have had a time to develop on the freshman team. They all play on the JV team, and now they get their opportunity to play on the varsity. But I'm really excited about the leadership that we have this year, the unselfishness of the players and how hard they work, their commitment to being here, and I'm really excited about them.
Inland Sports. Such a great coach and a great guy, Coach Stengel out there at Redlands High School, the long blue line. All right, speaking of great guys, great coaches, coming up next here on the Inland Sports Show, we're going to take you out to Grand Terrace and check in with the Titans head coach Ryan Taylor. Year number 1 on the job went pretty well, which included a league championship and a playoff berth. Can they do it again? They're ramping up at Grand Terrace once more. We'll hear from Coach Taylor when we come back here on your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show, right after this.
The Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Kin Sporting Goods in Norco, #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and Letterman's jackets. Bass Athletics in Corona, driven by passion and hard work, Bass Athletics helps student athletes push their limits, compete with heart, and build the discipline to succeed in sports, school, and life. For more information on the Bass Private School, visit bassathletics.com. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands with Dr. Marcus Paulson. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist that you can trust. And Chick-fil-A in Yucaipa, right off the 10 freeway at Yucaipa Boulevard. Eat more chicken. The Inland Sports Show is proud to partner with Dr. Marcus Paulson and Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Dr. Paulson and his team work with children, teens, and adults using orthodontic products like traditional braces and Invisalign to make a difference in the appearance, comfort, and function of each patient's teeth. Paulson Orthodontics welcomes new patients, so schedule a visit today. Paulson Orthodontics. We make braces fun.
are back with more Inland Sports Show right now. Give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. We'd appreciate it. If you are down with the Inland Empire, if you are down with local sports and you love positive stories, this is the place. So give us a like and also subscribe if you haven't done so already. We're talking a lot of high school football. What do you expect? It's the month of July going into August. We are ramping up big time for the 2025 season. But we also got to look back on last year. One of those surprise teams was Grand Terrace, man. Brand new head coach in Ryan Taylor takes over the program. A rough start through non-league play, but man, the Titans got things going in San Andreas League play, and they won a league championship and also got to the playoffs. So Coach Taylor going into year number 2, he likes this Grand Terrace team a lot. He says they've got a lot to build on. He says they've got some experience up front that they're going to lean on this season, the big fellas. So here is Ryan Taylor going into year number 2 with the Grand Terrace Titans on the Inland Sports Show.
Inland Sports.
And now join us here on the Inland Sports Show, the reigning San Andreas League champions of the world, but they're getting bumped up. We're going to talk about that with new head coach Ryan Taylor at Grand Terrace. I say new, but man, you've already had a year under your belt, and what a year it was, to win a league championship, get to the postseason. Coach Taylor, when you look back at year number 1 at GT, what are some of the memories you made? What are some of the things that you learned on your first year on the job as a head coach?
The biggest thing for me, thanks for having me on again. I really liked when we get to do this, but the biggest thing for me going through it is, you go and you take your first job, and it's like, I felt like I had to have a lot of answers right away. And the biggest thing that I learned as a head coach is, we always want our kids to be honest and feel comfortable making mistakes. And so I had to kind of lead by example on that and go, you know what, guys? Yeah, it's my first year being a head coach. We screwed this up. Here's how we're going to do it now. And I think from taking accountability and doing all that, it turns around in our kids, and they can take some accountability and understand it's okay to make mistakes if you're learning from them and getting better. But as far as the whole year went, it was a really enjoyable experience. I feel like, GT's home now, and it happened quick. You go through the season and you're kind of scrambling that first year. And then when all the dust settles, it's like, man, love those dang kids. I love being here. And for us, it was a tough year. We started off really slow and struggled and played some really great teams in that first half of the year. And our motto for the entire season was Focus 14. If you're going to play for a CIF championship, that's your 14th game. And we understood what our schedule was. We understood all the change that we were going through and how that was going to set us back a little bit. But as long as our kids focused on playing 14 games, which unfortunately we didn't get to do, but I think that motto for us led us through, okay, we're going to get better through the losses. I think a lot of people would write us off early in the year, and I don't blame them. But if you look back at our games, we got better in every loss, specifically looking at the Redlands game for us. That was the week we lost our Colton game, our rivalry, which my first year, I was really looking forward to being a part of that. And we got to go and play a CBL team now. And for 3.5 quarters, we sat there and we actually had the lead through 3.5 and we're battling with them. And I think that just shows our growth from our first game to there. Mm-hmm. And that's how we got through the league championship is, you know what, we're going to get better every single game. And by the time we get to this league, we're going to start hitting our stride. Yeah. And I think we did. And we're able to get in and win the 3rd league title in school history, which was really important to our seniors. Our senior class, they were the first class to experience 2 league championships. And then go in and win the 3rd playoff game in school history. And that was huge for us. And, unfortunately, we lost to a really good league opponent in the playoffs. But I think overall, it was a year of growth for all of us. And it was really a great thing by the time we were done to go, man, look at this journey that we had gone through,
Coach, you talk about that growth and also looking at your schedule like it's a 14-game schedule. If you make it to that CIF Southern Section Championship game, going through that tough non-league schedule, how did you keep morale up? Like, hey guys, what we still want to accomplish, it's still in front of us. We can still win a league championship. How did you keep morale and the confidence, the positivity going?
Yeah, well, I think sometimes to a fault, I'm really positive. I'm not going to be the guy And I don't think there's any right or wrong way to do our job, but I'm not the guy that's going to sit there and chew you out and berate you when things are going bad. Even when, we went and played Bonita, and I tell people it was the weirdest game I was ever a part of because we get blown out by a really, really good team that's really well coached and extremely talented. But we're able to go out of that game and look at film and go like, man, we had played Etiwanda in week 0, and that was a rough one for us. But we're able to look at the film against an even match to us, a team that's at that same level, and go, all right, the score looks bad, but God, look at the play, look at the film. We're missing a couple pieces, and that was, I think, focusing on the growth, continuing to preach like you got to play 14. You don't lose the season on week 3. And celebrating the little things that we were continuing to do right while correcting mistakes. I think that was the big thing for us.
Yeah, you mentioned Etiwanda. I think you guys open with them again, right, this upcoming season?
We do, and I think it's great for our school and our program. I know they have a new coach who I personally have not met him, but from everything I've heard, he's a great coach. They're putting together a really good staff. It's a challenge for us for sure, but it's one that we welcome. I think if we're going to continue to grow as a program and get to the place that I think we can get to, we got to play schools like Etiwanda and continue to battle. And that's our biggest thing. When you look at our kids, no matter what the talent level is across from us, no matter who it is, our kids are going to go fight and they're going to go compete. And so we welcome those uphill battles where we get to call ourselves the underdog. We really enjoy that position.
All right, Coach, speaking of being an underdog, well, if people are just casual high school football fans, we'll just kind of set the table again that the Arrowhead Athletic Conference has 3 leagues in it. And if you're winning and doing well and winning league championships, you're gonna go up. So you won a San Andreas League title. Now you guys are going up to the top tier, which is the Sunkist, which I believe is Summit, Eisenhower, Harupa Hills, and now you guys, GT. So, I'm sure the goal remains the same, but yeah, you're going to play some pretty good teams to get to another league title.
Yep, and that's where, again, we want to continue to grow as a program, and that's something that we celebrated and welcomed. When we knew we were getting bumped up into the next league, our kids were really excited for the opportunity. We'll never sit here and say, you know what, we demand to win that league. We're not going to do that. Obviously, that's our expectation. That should be every team's expectation this time of year. But where our kids get fired up is the competition grows now. The San Andreas League, ton of respect for those programs that we get to play. Really like those coaches. But to be able to go up in a league and in a division and things get a little tougher for our kids, they know that means a fight's coming. And they get fired up about that stuff. So we're really looking forward to the challenge of being in this new league.
All right, speaking of the challenge of this new league and this tough non-league schedule, who are the guys that you're going to turn to, that you're going to lean on in these tough games? I know, obviously, Xavier Oliver was all world, So who are the guys? Who are the guys we're going to be talking about this upcoming season for the Titans?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the senior class. They're really strong. We are losing key guys like Xavier Oliver, Ramses Munoz, Jalen Knight, Max Rosales, Carlos Lopez. We're losing some key guys, but we were so junior heavy across the board last year that this senior class is really they're ready to be the ones that lead now, and they do it a really unique way. This is a fun group. A lot of I would say this group has more personality than any class I've ever coached. But we're in a good spot. We're returning captain from last year, Mike DeFalco, who's our middle linebacker and plays some running back and fullback for us. He's the guy. We call him the push-up king. He is our weight room warrior. He brings a physicality and an intensity to everything that he does that we want our entire football team to reflect. So having a guy like that come back's big. We're returning 2 all-CIF offensive tackles and D linemen for us, and Abraham Gonzalez and Big J Rivas. And those 2 kids, leading up front for us with a junior center this is going to be his 3rd year starting on varsity, Jordan Villarreal. We feel really good about those 3 leading our group up front for us on offense. Our quarterback, Jaden Montano, who was a sophomore last year, we kind of thrusted him. He didn't start the year for us at quarterback, and in the Bonita game got thrusted into the job and played well through the rest of the year. He is developing as a passer and as a leader, and it's really something fun to watch. And then I think from our skill guys, a guy that stands out right away to me is Antonio Patterson. Last year, he played receiver, he played running back, he played quarterback, he was a safety, a corner, a kick returner. He did everything for us. And he's just had a phenomenal offseason. That kid, I've been on that kid probably more than anybody else since I've been here. And he just answers the call every time. So much trust and belief in him. And then I felt last year we had, I would call him last year, not to disrespect anybody else, but I think the best freshman in the area was our corner, Samaje Green, who's coming back as a sophomore. That kid has as much talent in his body of anyone I've ever coached at any level. Really good balance of guys. We got some guys who are leaders, who are stepping up in key roles like Nick Romo and Titus Ramirez. And then we have some new faces who, whether they were on the team, not playing a ton, whether they, I was a 3-sport athlete. So the biggest thing for me is getting other kids from other programs on campus and bring them in. So, we got some guys that played in other sports that are ready to step up. But I would say, returning, when you can say, I'm bringing 3 starters back on the O-line. 2 of them are all CIF. I got a captain coming back, and I got these 2 skill guys that just answer the bell for us every time. We get pretty excited on what the year can be.
All right, so Coach, with that said, my next question was going to be, if you had to pick a strength on this team, it sounds like it's the guys up front, right? The line. That's where the experience is.
Yeah, and I think the best way to say it is our senior class is going to be our strength, which is I think the goal should be every year to be able to lean on your senior class. I do think up front is going to be a big strength for us. Everybody knows we run the dang ball, and we're going to continue to do that. I think it'll look a little different this year, be a little more balanced, but up front's definitely that strength for us. And then I would say on defense, our secondary is going to be pretty dang good.
All right, Coach, finally, I'm just curious, before that first game against Etiwanda, do you guys have a scrimmage, and who are you going up against to kind of see some live action?
Yeah, so this year, really excited about who we get to scrimmage. We got Carter coming in. It's going to be at our school, which I'm really excited to knock it on a bus for a scrimmage and get to host one. But we have Carter coming in. San Bernardino High School is going to come in. And then from the high desert, we have Barstow coming down as well. So get a little 4-team scrimmage. I think the teams that we play really reflect our schedule as far as playing style and some really good coaches that are coming in. So I'm excited. I'm almost as excited for the scrimmage as anything else. We're about a week and a half out from pads, and so this is kind of that point in the year where I'm like, man, let's just line up in pads against someone else and play football. Like it's why we all do it. It's why I coach. The games and playing is the fun part. Obviously, we got to go through practice and camp. And get prepared, but we're getting close here, so we're excited for that scrimmage.
Yeah, we are on the doorstep of the 2025 season. It's crazy. And this is another one of our previews here on the Inland Sports Show as we're catching up with Ryan Taylor, the head coach at Grand Terrace. Coach, always appreciate our conversations. Nothing but the best this upcoming year. And hopefully we can do this again soon, man. I think you got a special team out there.
Anytime. Thank you for everything you do for all of us, man. This is promoting the kids in the IE. The IE is a special dang place. And I'm glad to be back here and just know the appreciation all of us have in the high school sports world for what you do is real. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Coach. That's Coach Taylor from GT here on the Inland Sports Show. Inland Sports. Good stuff, Coach Taylor. Appreciate you hopping on the Inland Sports Show. When we come back here, I'm calling it the ultimate football breakdown because we talk about everything here in the Inland Empire with Coach Agno from Aquinas High School. Top players, top teams, top coaches, the Aquinas legacy, some of the all-time records that have been set here in the IE. We talked about everything. I think we maybe mixed in some movie talk as well. So that's coming up next here on the Inland Sports Show right after this.
What's going on, guys? This is the Boost Man here with another training tip on how to beat your opponent with speed. This next drill is a plyometric for all types of athletes to help you improve your acceleration. Okay, so this next drill I learned from probably one of the GOAT speed trainers in the country. His name is Pete Bomarito. If you don't know about him, you should check him out. But I use this for all my athletes as an advanced plyometric. It really reinforces acceleration mechanics, that piston-like action that athletes need when they're accelerating. Look, it doesn't matter what sport you play. If you're going to take off, you're going to sprint, you need to learn how to accelerate. You can use this drill for any sport that requires sprinting. So here's how it works. I'm gonna have my athletes take a couple steps. 1, 2, they're gonna drop their leg up and down. And what I'm looking for here is great arm action, all right? You see the cross reflex between my right arm, left leg, left arm, right leg, and you're gonna see that piston-like action. The limb speed's gotta be aggressive. I'm looking for that quick punch of the knee, and we're looking for that transition from hip flexion to hip extension while applying force into the ground. Let me show you again. Okay, so once again, speed training doesn't have to be complicated. We'll work this with our athletes over and over again until we master it. We'll build up to it. This is a great plyometric. It's an advanced plyometric, but it's great to reinforce acceleration mechanics. And if you're an athlete that needs to accelerate, you got to tap in. Boost man.
We've been talking about the Chargers opening training camp, right? They get a head start on a lot of other teams because of the Hall of Fame game that they're going to be playing in at the end of the month. Well, the Chargers also announced this week that they've already got like a bunch of uniform, combinations, but now they've got two new ones. One of them they're calling the Gold Charger Power uniforms, harkening back to the 1970s. And the other one is from that 1994 season in which the Lightning Bolts went all the way to the Super Bowl. And those are the Navy Supercharger uniform. So they're kind of dipping back into history and bringing some of those back out. So now they've got like 20 different uniforms. I mean, they've got all these different combinations now.
I love it that they're bringing back, especially the Supercharger. Yes, it's an opportunity for them to sell more merch, but I mean, come on. That's a little tip of the hat to Junior Seau there, and I kind of like that.
Okay, real quick, Patrick. If not Junior Seau, when you think of these 1994 Navy Supercharger uniforms, who's the first guy you think of?
LaDainian Tomlinson as well, for me. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny is, like, obviously LT's right at the top of my list, but the quarterback from that team, Stan Humphries, was the first guy I thought of, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I would say the most exciting Major League Baseball All-Star game we've seen in a long time. Usually they're inconsequential, they're not dramatic, people are just like, oh, okay, they're just going through the motions. This was actually fun, and Kyle Schwarber was the MVP because he won I guess they call it the swing off, where he hit 3 home runs after they were tied 6-6 at the end of 9 innings, and our guy Dino Ebel from the IE was out there throwing the pitches for him.
And he hit 3 tanks.
Yeah.
It was like, reminded me of hockey's shootout, baseball's version of the shootout. I thought the game was awesome. It had some very special moments. The Hank Aaron tribute I thought was really cool. Talking to Kershaw and doing his thing on the mound was very funny when he was like, Smoltzy, what do you want up there in the booth? And he says, cutter. And he's like, I don't throw a cutter, Smoltzy. It was hilarious. I thought it was great.
Yeah, having a microphone on Kershaw in what was probably his last Major League Baseball All-Star game was pretty special. Hank Aaron, you mentioned. Freddie Freeman, right? Former Brave, now Dodger, going back to Atlanta for the All-Star game. So, yeah, there was a lot of cool moments. And Major League Baseball got it right. It wasn't actually all about the game. All the different things that, rolled into it. So there was a lot of cool storylines. And now we go into the second half of the season, and we've played more than half of the year already, although we call this like the halfway point. But we've already played close to 100 games this year. So this is really the sprint to the finish to see what teams are going to win division titles or pennants. I still call them pennants. Who's going to win the pennant and make a wild card run? Maybe it could be the Angels.
Inland Sports.
Hanging out with my boy Patrick in the morning on KCal 96.7 FM every Monday and Thursday. You can find me right there. All right, we're going to get right into this because there's a lot to cover with George Anagnostopoulos, the assistant head coach for the Aquinas Falcons football team, but he loves IE football, so we're going to talk about a lot. Top teams, coaches, players, legacy numbers, all kinds of stuff. So without further ado, Coach Agno, give him a follow on social media as we break it all down, the 2025 Ultimate Football Breakdown right now.
Inland Sports.
And now join us here on the Inland Sports Show as we make our march towards that first game of the year for high school football. 2025 is here. Joining us from the Aquinas Falcons, George Anagnostopoulos. And Coach Agno, I know you guys at Aquinas are coming off that dead period. And when you come off that dead period, it's like all gas, no brakes, right? Like you're just ramping up to that first game of the year. So does it feel more real to you guys now that, the dead period's over, the helmets will be out very soon, and the season will be upon us?
Yeah, definitely. Getting back last week from dead period and just kind of that sense of urgency, getting ready to have camp in a week or so, and just understanding, like making sure our guys understand, it's like, hey, there's no looking back now. Like we're full go and we're pretty much into the season, and we're a week or so away from starting to prepare for an opponent.
So at least at Aquinas, like do you have a lot of guys coming back, or is it a mix of new guys and returners? Because, this time of the year, maybe it's when guys are, fighting for still, starting spots, or who's actually going to get playing time.
For sure. We bring back some really talented skill players, a couple guys up front, but we're definitely young and inexperienced in a couple of those positions. So it's going to be interesting, but, we're all ready for the challenge, and so are the kids. So we're looking forward to it.
All right, Coach, we always like to, chop it up and talk high school football here in the Inland Empire. And I know you keep your eyes and ears open to see what else is going on across the IE and whatnot. So, as we get ready for the season, and if there's a question I ask you and you're like, I don't want to answer that, go ahead, but sure. So I'm just starting to put together the top 25 preseason poll. And it goes without saying Centennial is going to be number one. In fact, I heard from a couple people that even though they lost Hassan Longstreet, which was like an all-world quarterback, he's at SC now, they might actually be better this year than they were last year. I've heard from multiple people. But with that said, if Centennial is number one, who do you think would be like number two, number three right there, right behind them?
Man, you probably have to look. I mean, I know, talking about the area that you cover. So, we're staying east of the 15 freeway and all that stuff. But you got to probably throw, Murrieta Valley in the mix right there. They're always going to be competitive and tough. San Jacinto, who we play this year, is really talented. I saw a lot of those guys up close and personal at the Redlands camp, and they're loaded. So, and then you start heading west a little bit. You talk about Rancho and up the hill with Oak Hills and Apple Valley. So, but yeah, I mean, it starts with Centennial. And like I said, you got to have Murrieta Valley, Chaparral. I know Chaparral's got some dudes. They got some transfers, stuff like that, and they always have a good front seven. So, yeah, those are probably the top guys for sure.
Yeah, Chaparral's quarterback is, like an All-American guy. The Norco running back who was awesome, he transferred to Chaparral. They got a bunch of guys back. I think Chaparral's going to be really good this upcoming season. And Murrieta Valley lost a lot, but George Wilson always does a good job. He's always got guys, so I know they're going to be super, super competitive. And I don't know if you saw, because San Jacinto's on your schedule, so maybe you did watch the Eric Galliano interview a couple weeks ago.
I watched it.
Did you? So I can't remember if he said specifically in the interview, but he really, really likes this year's team at San Jacinto. He thinks they're going to be really, really good. And if you look at their non-league schedule, which includes you guys at Aquinas, last year Norco had my favorite schedule because they played all these good teams. San Jacinto probably has my favorite schedule this year because they play so many good local teams, including you guys. So, and just in that San Jacinto matchup, I mean, you guys are going to find out where you stand, right? When you play a team like that, like, hey, are we like a top 5 team in the IE, or do we got some work to do?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, they have, like I said, I saw a lot of those guys, they're top guys up close and personal, and they have a lot of elite speed on that team. And it's like track speed, you know, and so that's going to pose a problem for a lot of those guys, you know, obviously included in that list, you know, talk about Beaumont and Cajon, both are going to be talented. You know, that's going to be interesting. The CBL probably comes down to that game again. So, yeah, but San Jacinto is going to pose a lot of issues for everyone that they play. So, but like I said, we're looking forward to the challenge for sure.
Yeah, San Jacinto's got Beaumont in that first game of the year in week 0. That's going to be one of those marquee matchups for sure in week 0. Well, Coach, let me ask you this and find out where you stand, because I kind of feel like it's split in terms of this playoff format. And you guys at Aquinas, I feel like, fall on one side because we have teams that continually win league, right? They have a great regular season. They win several league championships in a row. And then they get put in some, high division, 3, 4, 5 or whatever. And then you see on the flip side, teams that finish in third place, or maybe they're even a wild card, and they get put in a lower division. And those are the teams that are actually going on to win CIF, top championships. So I've talked to some other local coaches, not in your league per se, and it's almost like, well, do you care about league titles or do you care about CIF championships? Because if you're going for a league championship, you can go 9-1. But you might be Division 3 or Division 4, or you could be 6-4 and go in, I don't know, Division 7 and make a run.
Yeah, it's I think overall the format is pretty legit. I like it overall. There is some competitive equity as you see like some of those second and third place teams, making deep runs into the playoffs. But like just to your point, 2 years ago, right, we won the league and Ontario Christian was in second, and they ended up being the number 1 seed. In Division 6, I believe, or 7, and we went on the road on a Thursday against Foothill, you know what I mean, in Division 5, and that was like, really, dude, like, so winning your league really doesn't carry much weight other than it, gets you an automatic qualifier. I'd like to see I think we've talked about this too before. Like, I'd like to see some type of human element where, the rankings and all that create the divisions. And then there's some type of human element that reseeds the teams based off of league finish, because, like you said, there has to be some value in winning your league, and to see league champions go on the road in the first round of the playoffs just doesn't make any sense to me. So I think everyone would agree with that one.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I feel like a broken record. I've said it so many times. If you win your league championship, just start out at home. At least get that first game at home. Yeah. Like, you deserve it. Put some value on that league championship, because you're right. It doesn't really mean anything. Like, you win your league title, great. I'd rather finish in third place, be Division 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever, and then you're gonna play till Thanksgiving. So.
I mean, I'm pretty competitive, like we all are. So I don't think I'd rather come in third place ever in anything. But you're right, though. Like, it doesn't make sense. 2 years in a row, the last 2 years we've won our league and ended up on the road in the first round against really good teams. And that is what it is. But there has to be something. A few years ago when this thing first started, 10-0, I may have it backwards, but 10-0 Norda Vista played 9-1 Monrovia or something like that in the first round. Like, how do you send a 10-0 team on the road in the first round? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that might have been the year. I think, was it Loyola? I'm trying. Yeah, they went like on the road. Yeah, and it was like, oh my gosh, that's what you get for having a great regular season. So,
for sure. Yeah.
I don't think Aquinas is technically in the Citrus Belt area when it comes to like athletic directors and stuff. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're not.
Okay, so maybe this is a fair question I can ask you then. So the Citrus Belt area, when they did the re-leaguing, they were considering like a football-only conference or re-leaguing, I guess you'd call it, where, for example, like that first league would be Centennial, Chaparral, Murrieta Valley. I think Orange Vista was in there, San Jacinto. I don't have it in front of me, but I did have it. So, but it failed. It didn't pass. And I know there were several local schools trying to push that, and I get it. Like if you're a team, for example, like I love Bob Stengel at Redlands High School, right? And I think Redlands was behind it. I think Riverside Poly was also in that conversation too. These teams who are borderline playoff teams, is trying to fight their way into the playoffs. If you're put in a different league, they might be winning league championships. So I don't know where you fall on that either about this whole just a football only conference for all the Citrus Belt area schools.
Yeah, I think it's smart. Like you said, with you look at the CBL right now, and imagine if you created some type of tiered conference where Redlands and Rev had a chance to go rebuild their program back up, in the second tier or whatever. And you move Summit into the CBL and someone like that, if you put us and Summit in the CBL, the kind of competitive games that you would create in that league. And then you have relegation, right, every 2 years based off of finish. Yeah. People move up and down. So I'm a big fan of that for sure. And, obviously it's tough to get stuck in that top tier and, knowing you're going to be in Centennial's league. But that is what it is. That's, heavy is the head that wears the crown. So.
Yeah, in fact, shout out to, I don't remember his last name, but Diego on Instagram. He hit me up and said, when are they going to do the re-leaguing for the, the Big West Conference, which they combine the Big 8 League and the Southwestern League? Because, Roosevelt, you put them in any other league. I mean, Roosevelt's a really good team. And, and it's they're just trying to win a game or two. Or Norco. Norco hasn't made the playoffs the last 2 years. And they had made it, 34 or 35 years in a row they were in the playoffs. So, if you're Murrieta Mesa or King or one of those teams, you're like, we're good. We'll stay right here. We're good. Great Oak, we're good. But if you're like Roosevelt or Norco, I hate to even throw Vista Murrieta in there because they're way too good to be like a fringe playoff team. But those kind of schools, you play in such a difficult league. I mean, you just have to survive and get to the playoffs first.
For sure. It takes a lot of strategic scheduling too, for your non-league games and stuff like that to try and at least get over that hump. But as you saw last year, even being 500, there was teams that were over 500 that didn't make the playoffs, and there was teams that made the playoffs that were 1-9. So
yeah, I mean, I think Murrieta Mesa last year, they might have been 1-4 or 0-5 before they went on to win the CIF championship. And we just had Oscar McBride on. He's a great dude, a Notre Dame Fighting Irish guy, great, awesome guy. And he basically said, we just want to play the best. If we end up going 1-4 or 0-5 or whatever, we just want to see the best competition because we want to be ready for league, and ultimately we want to be ready for that CIF run as well. I mean, I don't know how you guys build your schedule at Aquinas. You always play good teams, but you guys kind of feel the same way. Hey, we want to play some good competition. We don't want to go 5-0 and beat every team by 50-0.
For sure, and that's why if you look at 2021 when we won CIF. We had a couple league opponents. One left the league, and then Western Christian didn't end up playing us that year. So we picked up Long Beach Poly, in the middle, in the middle of our league schedule, and we played Damien week 8, and then we go to the playoffs. And having those two games late in the season like that definitely had us battle tested and ready for a playoff run. So it goes to show you that stuff matters, and it's hard to go from playing in games that aren't as competitive to playing in Division 4, at Redondo Union. It's not the same thing, and that's not a knock on anybody. It's just the reality of the situation. So
what was that, 7-6, wasn't it? It was low scoring.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it again. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you miss the rankings when the CIF Southern section had the weekly rankings? You knew exactly what division you were going to be in all season long. It wasn't this competitive equity where you wait till the end of the current year. But you had the weekly rankings, and you kind of knew exactly where you stood, and the other teams you kind of keep an eye on that were in your playoff division as well. I get why they do competitive equity, but I kind of miss those weekly rankings. Where did you fall on that one?
Yeah, for sure. It was nice to know, the other teams that were going to be in your division, and, just to kind of have an idea of who you might be playing so you can follow them throughout their season. It is, as you get later into the season with this new format, you can kind of start to see where the line's going to drop, depending on what they do with Division 1 and all that. But now did you see that they changed the name of Cal Preps? And now you have to pay that. You actually have to pay and have a subscription to be able to look at that. And you get so many views per day, and it's kind of a weird deal, but
Yeah, the CIF, I get it. Probably takes a lot of work to calculate all that stuff. And they're like, you guys just do it, and you'll be our source in terms of, trying to figure out who goes what to playoff division.
Sometimes I think they like some of the extra work, though. If you look at like the transfer rules, like guys make it so hard on themselves when it could be real simple.
You're right. No, you're 100% right. All right, Coach Agno, I think we can all agree the quarterback is probably the most important position on the football field. A lot of team success hinges on, hey, do we have a good quarterback? Is he seasoned? Has he been around the program? But tell me the second most important position on a football field, offensively or defensively. What position do you think is the most important?
I mean, it starts with the guy that has the ball in his hand every play, and that's the center, and the offensive line as a whole. Football is simple. It's blocking and tackling. And if you can block and tackle, then you're going to have a chance to win the game. But, I think it starts with the center. When you really think about that position, how difficult it is to play, playing corner is pretty tough, like playing man-to-man corner. Like I would say that's a pretty tough job, but being the center and having to identify the front, snap the ball, and then move and block somebody at the same time. All that happens so fast, so I would say the center is probably the most important. He touches the ball every play, just like the quarterback. So.
All right. So the next couple of weeks when the helmets and pads finally come out, do you guys at Aquinas, or what's your kind of personal philosophy? Is it you work the kids real hard before that first game of the year, or do you kind of have to temper it a little bit, knowing, hey, we can't beat our guys up before we get to that first game of the year, but we got to make sure they're also ready. I know you guys always do a scrimmage, so you see some live action before you see that first game of the year. But I mean, is there a balance between pushing these guys real hard and making sure they're ready, and also we want to be healthy too? We got to be ready for that first game.
Yeah, for sure. There's a balance. I think it depends on your team and how much depth you have year to year. That changes. Where last year maybe we had more depth and we were senior heavy last year, and this year we're a little thinner and younger up front and stuff like that. So yeah, we're definitely gonna have to manage that stuff and make sure these guys are healthy and ready to go for week 0. But leading up to that, we definitely want to push them and they need to find out what's on the other side of hard. So.
What's on the other side of hard? I love that, man.
I didn't make it up. I stole it from somebody for sure.
All right. Listen, Jordan Brusig's, we'll say your favorite head coach, right? So give me another coach out there, and Nick Matheny maybe is a too easy one, but give me another coach out there that you just admire. You're like, you know what? I like the way he does it. I like the program. They do it the right way. Who's another coach out there that you admire?
I'd have to go with a couple guys, but if I'm being biased, I got to go with Josh Henderson, who was my head coach at Aquinas, who's up at Emmanuel and Reedley. The foundation that he set for us and the path that he put us on to kind of follow the blueprint. But outside of that, outside of our circle, I got to go with Matt Logan to be able to sustain that success at that level for so many years. With the changes in the game of football, with the changes in, the way people come and go from schools and stuff like that. I think that it's just a testament to, like I said, the culture that he's built there. And, that's definitely something that you look to aspire to be like, because, it's not about 1 year success. Anybody can have a great year and put the banner up, but it's how do we sustain that success and also, not just football success, but successful human beings, right? How we, what do we do every year to make sure that when these guys leave our program, that they're ready for life, that they're going to be good, husbands and fathers someday, because ultimately that's the number one goal.
To piggyback off what you just said, how rewarding is it as a coach when you have guys that you coached come back through the program and, maybe they're now married and they have kids of their own or whatever, and say, hey man, you have no idea the influence that you had on me and, the positive, encouraging things that happened while I was at Aquinas. Like, obviously you play to win the game, right? You're trying to win championships, but also you're not going to, maybe you'll remember the Redondo Union score, but most people won't remember the Redondo score, but they'll remember, those relationships that they had with a lot of their players, right?
For sure. And, with Brandon Rankins, I'm going to make you feel old now that we just went to that guy's wedding a few months ago. And, that was just such a special moment to share with him and his new wife and his family and stuff, what that guy meant to our program, and to have him tell us no, it's not what I meant to you guys. It's like what you all meant to me. And, that's everything. Like a guy like Rodario Abercrombie, who, came to our school from Del Vallejo and walked to Aquinas in the rain, to come meet us as an 8th grader and told us he wanted to be there. And the growing pains that he went through over 4 years, and we were just like banging our head against the wall, trying to like help this guy grow up. To see him now, like, he achieved his dream. He went to a D2 and he transferred portal to a Division I, and he's going to finish school in the fall and he's going to have a degree. Like, there's nothing better than that. Like all the CIF championships and stuff like that, the rings are great. But those are just sitting in a little box on my dresser, those guys. And, Joshka Gustav is getting married in October. And so he's coming back to camp to speak to the team, which is exciting. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, it's everything.
Hey, Coach, if I can for a moment, just go back to Brandon Rankins, because when he's the all-time rushing leader in San Bernardino County history. As that was unfolding his senior year, you guys, you must have been aware of what those numbers were, right? Like, hey, he's got to average like this many yards, or, this is the number he's got to hit to pass it. Were you... Obviously, you're going to feed him the football because he's a stud, but like, were you making sure like, hey, we want to do this for him, man? He's meant a lot to our program. We want him to have this record. Let's make sure he's getting enough touches, and he's going to get his. And he did. He shattered the record.
Yeah, it was. I don't think we ever like had a conscious an actual conversation and said like, okay, we need to make sure Brandon breaks this record. I think we saw the number like going into the season and realized like, if he does what he did last year, he's gonna get it. But definitely it was important for us, that he got it, and to know like, it was something that he earned and he deserved. I mean, he's the number 2 all-time leading rusher in the state of California career-wise, and behind Toby Gerhardt, who was a freaking maniac. And I think he's like number 5 all-time in touchdowns, stuff like that, and scoring. So no, I'm definitely happy for Brandon. I'm glad that, he, his first year was, even his second year, we made it to the semifinals, but those were like tough years, right? We were building the program back up, and it was nice to see like after his freshman year, like the team was completely on his back that year, and it was like he was like pretty much, the main show. But to be able to have some support around him by the time he was a senior, and where he didn't have to carry the load all the time. But Brandon was just Brandon, man. I mean, he did a lot for our program, and it was always a problem when number 7 was in the backfield for people.
Yeah, for sure, man. He was so fun to watch.
Yeah.
And finally, Coach, do you, this is kind of a twofold question. Do you guys have like a legacy number that you do at Aquinas? And also when you choose captains, what kind of guys are you looking for to have that C on their jersey?
So the legacy number, we have a few. We kind of go back to our roots, 2000, that 2000 team that Josh coached, that won the CIF championship. There were some guys on that team. The theme for that year was building the wall, and there was a ton of guys on that team who kind of like were polarizing figures. So there's a few numbers for us. Glenn O'Hary, who was a Ken Hubbs winner, he wore number 3. And this isn't a knock on Brandon, but Glenn is probably the most dynamic, explosive player, to ever be in that locker room. Really special. And so number 3 is a really big number for us. Number 7 is usually like our quarterback, goes to our quarterbacks. And 44 is a big number for us. Jeff Langdon, who was a CIF player of the year for us in 2000, just like the epitome of what it means to be an Aquinas Falcon, a leader on and off the field, went on and played at USD, played for Jim Harbaugh, was an All-American there. So I would say those are probably the most like our core legacy numbers. Number 4 has kind of turned into a little bit of that with some of the guys, Malachi Vaipulu and Sione Lolohea, who have worn that down the D-line. So, but yeah, definitely we have a few, and we're very careful on who we give those numbers to for sure. And as far as the captains, we want somebody who embodies our core values, faith, attitude, sacrifice, and tradition. And, everything we do, we want to glorify God first. And we want guys that are doing that, all the time, not just, when people are around, so guys that embody that, guys that, are working hard at practice, holding their teammates accountable, and number 1, holding themselves accountable. So those are the kind of guys that we want, leading the team, guys that aren't afraid to step up and stand in front of people. It's easy to lead from the back and talk and say all kinds of things, but it's hard to stand in front and take the brunt of things, especially when things aren't going good, so, it takes a pretty tough kid to be a captain for us, for sure.
That's awesome, Coach. And finally, where's Brucing? What's he doing in the dead period?
He coaches in Idaho right now. His wife's family does like a big trip every year. So he went to Idaho for a few days. They're up there. McCall, I believe. So
fishing, hiking, laying low.
I don't know, doing all kinds of stuff. His wife's aunt has like a ranch out there, and they're by a lake, so they're doing all kinds of stuff. I'm sure he found a golf course while he was out there. So
he's a big golf guy. I know he's a hockey guy, but he's a big golf guy too.
He's a golfer. He actually played Torrey Pines last week with one of our buddies, my best friend actually, who I played with at Aquinas, and he lives out there, so they got to play Torrey Pines for like pretty cheap. And they're going back and forth playing, and my buddy freaking nailed like a birdie from like 15 feet, so he thought he won the hole on the last hole, and Jordan freaking nailed an 80-yard putt for eagle, dude.
No.
Yeah. Yes.
I gotta see video of that.
There is no video of it, but there is no video, but I do have 3 witnesses that confirm it.
Been corroborated by a couple.
Yeah. 80-foot putt for eagle. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, Coach Agno, man, always love chopping it up. Love talking high school football. Nothing but the best for you and the Aquinas Falcons this upcoming season. Let's do it again soon.
Dude, you gonna go watch Fantastic Four next week or what?
That is the plan. I got to be honest. I haven't seen Superman, and everyone I've talked to, not everyone, most people I've talked to said it was not good. And yes, and I got kind of scared away from it. But I'm hoping that Fantastic Four is good because I do want to go see it.
Well, 2 quick things. I saw Superman, and I'm not a big like DC Superman guy. I took my son to see it, and honestly, I thought it was really good.
You liked it?
I felt like they shook a comic book out on the screen. It was really good. I thought so. But and then Fantastic Four, they showed, I guess they had a screening this morning with like a bunch of the content creators and review people. So, and they moved the social media embargo from Tuesday to tonight at 6. Actually, that's got to be a good sign if they're moving that up.
Yeah, because they want to get the word out.
And get the ticket sales up and stuff like that. So
I want it to be good so bad.
This is their last chance to make it right.
I know. I need it to be good.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, if you want to talk football or just nerd out on some superheroes, man, you can always find me right here.
For sure.
All right. That's George.
Appreciate it, Pat.
You got it, man. That is Coach Agno here on the Inland Sports Show. Appreciate it.
Inland Sports.
All right. Good stuff, Coach Agno. I think I still want to see Superman. I really want to see Fantastic Four, and I really hope it's good. As you see, Coach is a big superhero nerd like myself, so I love Star Wars as well. So when I'm not doing sports, nerding out on that kind of stuff. All right, big thanks to Coach Agno, Coach Taylor at Grand Terrace, Dominick Catalano, quarterback for the Centennial Huskies. Man, it's going to be a big year for Centen once again. All right, thank you guys for watching the show. Give this video a like if you haven't done so already. If you're still watching, I know you are, give it a like and also subscribe to the channel. We would really appreciate it. If you're a local business, we would love to hear from you as well. You can support these positive stories here in the IE by simply promoting your company, your organization here on the Inland Sports Show. My name is Pep Fernandez. God bless you guys. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time on your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show. Good night.